So we'll go ahead and jump right into it. If you find the video helpful or informative, don't forget to like and subscribe. But it says right here, gameplay. Today's update includes substantial adjustments to core attributes of weapons in Modern Warfare 3 and Warzone. Prompted by player feedback and internal review, these changes intend to improve the precision and responsiveness of aiming, particularly while using a mouse, although these changes may be observed regardless of the output. The first change is the ADS idle sway. While a player's aim down sight idle sway is active, this mechanic discourages players from holding their sight for an extended period of time with a constant subtle motion that introduces slight inaccuracy. ADS idle sway now initiates shortly after aiming down sight rather than immediately, introducing a delay to the sway curve that is generally 5 milliseconds long but varies by the weapon. No sniper rifles are not included in this change. They also mentioned the ADS sway is going to be increasing over a 3-second period before reaching the peak speed. And then the ADS idle sway now consistently begins from the position of a player's hipfire crosshair rather than along the sway curve. And then they mention hipfire crosshair sway. And they go ahead and say hipfire crosshair will no longer sway from the center of the screen while players move or rotate their camera. Weapon bullet trajectory is now truly aligned with the hipfire crosshair and thus the center of the player's screen. And to summarize it, they basically said these changes reward skillful aim. Simply put, when you're aiming is where your bullets will go. And looking ahead, they are going to be working to adjust some more features. In terms of customization, they fixed several instances of charms and stickers not displaying correctly. For multiplayer UI, new features and adjustments added weekly category to the challenges widget in the lobby view. Detailed stat comparisons are now available for base weapons in the gunsmith. Decrease kill feed line duration from 10 seconds to 5 seconds. Decrease the kill feed line fade duration from 1 second to 0.5 seconds, and the event category is now displayed first in the list of weapon camos. They also did a bunch of different bug fixes. I usually don't go through every single one of them or else the video will be way too long, but here's a screenshot. Feel free to pause it and read through them if you are interested in seeing what some of the things that they fixed. But they did do quite a couple of bug fixes. These are just the first set of many. In terms of gameplay, they also did some bug fixes, address issues causing field of view to be set higher than intended at infill. Players will no longer dive while using the slide only option on controller. Decrease delay before health regeneration begins from 4 seconds to 3 seconds. Increase the health regeneration rate from 40 HP per second to 75 HP per second. We adjusted health regeneration to better match the pace of gameplay. Now, for example, it only takes 5 seconds to heal from 1 to 150, down from the previous 7.7 seconds. And for the progression, resolve various issues following attachments. So the RAM 7 X10 FR heavy barrel, the longbow sniper iron sights optic, XRK no stock, and the global Jack BFB muzzle. They've also added missing laser attachments to the gilded camo challenge tracking for the marksman rifles. Breacher drone kills will no longer count towards frag grenade kills challenges. Resolved an issue in which Juggernaut Recon Killstreak would not track kills for the challenges correctly. For maps, MW2 carry forward maps are now going to be available in the quick play rotation, meaning they no longer will be a limited time playlist and you can play them anytime you want. They've also done some map updates to high-rise, adjustments to prevent players from spawning in unfavorable conditions near the active base and the phonic reception areas. Subbase refine a hardpoint objective boundary in the warehouse to prevent capture from unintended location. Terminal adjusted to prevent players from spawning in unfavorable conditions. Near security underpass, players can no longer access an exploitable location near the shelf. Wasteland addressed an issue that caused more fog than intended on certain platforms. For the modes in private match, corrected the HUD elements after changing teams in war mode. Disabling perks via game rules will no longer prevent some blueprints from being displayed. And for weapons and attachments, decrease the melee lunge distance of all MW3 weapons to align with MW2 standards. Increase the movement speeds of all MW2 weapons to align with MW3 standards. Added gun kick control and recoil control benefits in tactical stance for all weapons. By the way, these are all only for multiplayer. I'll talk about Warzone in just a second. The ARs, the Holger increased the ADS time from 260 to 270, so a very, very small buff. The MCW got an increased ADS sight time by 10%, increased the sprint to fire time by 5%, and the Jack Raven saw a big change. Increased max damage by 6%, decreased medium damage by 4%, decreased minimum damage by 9%, decreased maximum damage range by 3%, increased the near medium damage, the medium damage, the headshot damage, the lower torso damage, and then they decreased the hip fire spread and decreased the recoil and gun kick. And this is only for the Jack Raven kit. And then for the battle rifles, the Bass B increased sprint to fire time by 9%, increased the ADS time by 4%, and increased the hip fire spread minimum by 26%. So it means it got a little slight nerf. I mean, 1 buff and 2 nerfs. And then the Sidewinder increased the bullet velocity from 540 to 600 and decreased the recoil and gun kick significantly, making it a little bit better. And then the Jack Thunder LMG increased delay before accelerating rate of fire to decay from 200 to 500, decreased accelerated rate of fire decay from 300 RPM, and then increased the gun kick control and recoil control by 35%. For the Tag V, increased the maximum damage range from 35 to 43, increased the near medium damage range by 16%. The SMG, the Striker, increased near medium damage range and increased the medium range. The AMR9 Jack Eaton double barrel kit added missing hipfire crosshair. WSP9 decreased ADS time, increased the maximum damage, and increased the near medium damage. And for the Broodmother 45 kit, decreased ADS sight time and decreased the movement speed penalties. For the shotgun, the Lockwood 680, the 680 heavy long barrel increased sprint to fire. The KV broadside decreased sprint to fire and decreased the ADS time. For the LMGs, the TAC Eradicator saw an increase in the sprint to fire and the aim down sight time. The Raw saw a decrease in the sprint to fire and the ADS time. The Icarus saw a decrease in sprint to fire. The RPK saw a decrease in the aim down sight time. For the marksman rifles, the MCW 6.8 decreased ADS, decreased all damage ranges by 18%, decreased the bullet velocity, decreased the hipfire spread, and they decreased the hipfire spread minimum and maximum damage. The DM56 decreased near medium damage and the minimum damage. The MTZ Interceptor increased the sprint to fire, increased the ADS time, and decreased the neck damage multiplier. For the SPR 208, decreased the maximum damage range and increased the upper arm damage. And for the Lockwood MK2, increased maximum damage and decreased the maximum damage range. For the LMS, I got one change, decreased intensity of the ADS sway. And then for the SAB, they increased the maximum damage by 9%, but also the damage range has been decreased. The sniper rifles long barrel decreased the ADS sight time from 550 to 520. Signal decreased maximum damage. The SPX 80 increased the ADS time. And for the handguns, the Renetti, only the Jack Ferocity kit, decreased movement speed penalties by 50%. For the Basilisk, increased maximum damage range, near medium damage range, medium damage range, the far medium damage, and the lower torso damage. For the launchers, the Storm Ender addressed an issue preventing some kill streaks from being destroyed. The melee gutter knife decreased the distance by 30%, karambit by 30%, combat knife, dual kadachis, dual kamas, and the pickaxe all by 30%. Popular Jack BFB muzzle got a nerf, decreased gun kick control benefit from 60 to 55, decreased vertical recoil control, increased the ADS sight time penalty, increased the sprint to fire penalty, increased the aim walking speed penalty, and added 18% bullet velocity. So that was a pretty big nerf. And then the field upgrades, decreased time to redeploy a med box, munitions box. For the ACS, objectives can no longer be captured from vertical distances than intended. Tactical camera resolved an exploit that allowed players to see through the environment. Deployable cover fixed the issue that would cause players to go invisible. Dead silence resolved an issue causing Activision sounds to be more audible to other players than intended. Killstreak's Juggernaut Recon oxygen meter will now display as expected while underwater. Gunship, when destroying a gunship by the Storm Ender launcher, visual effect will no longer persist on the player's HUD. And now we jump into the zombies. So for the zombies, not really a lot, but it says new content coming in season. They talk about the mid-season. And then for the gameplay, increase the drop chance for ammo pouches for in the high threat zone. Weapon Season 1 changes. New weapons introduced in Season 1 may be added to the loot pool and can be found in lockers, crates, and mystery boxes. Wonder weapons, the ray gun, the damage has increased for both the base weapon and when Pack-a-Punch. Base projectile speed has been increased 60% with further increases when Pack-a-Punch to 110%. Reduce the damage the ray gun will deal to its owner. Players will now enter a down state in 8 shots. The Scorcher, decrease the time between pressing fire and the Scorcher charging up. Direct impact plasma damage has been increased by 333%. Lingering plasma length and diameter now increases with each charge. Lingering plasma damage has been increased by 428%. Lingering plasma duration has been adjusted and has been adjusted by the duration for the initial charge has been decreased from 2 to 0.5. Lingering plasma damage duration now increased by 1 second with each charge, and the total duration is now longer by 0.5 at 4.5 with this change. The VR11 will now hit and deal damage to ether worms. For the SMG, the HRM9 addressed an issue that prevented players from unlocking the HRM9 via exfilling. The Marksman Crossbow addressed an issue that prevented players from infilling with the Eros Blueprint. The Dual Kadachis addressed an issue that prevented players from infilling with the Chris Knife Blueprint in-game. For Killstreak's Juggernaut, addressed an issue that prevented players from switching weapons after using a Juggernaut Killstreak. Closed various duplication exploits with it. Closed an exploit that allowed players to carry more than 2 weapons via Juggernaut Killstreak. And closed an invulnerability exploit with the Juggernaut Killstreak. For customization, addressed an issue that prevented the Kawaii Endo dismemberment death effect from appearing. UI addressed an issue that took players to Modern Warfare Zombies main menu when attempting to preview a camo while the Storm Ender was equipped, and removed some inactive UI prompts from the plea for help requested screen. Stability added various crash and stability fixes. And now we jump into Warzone. Here's the playlist that we have week of February 7th to the 14th. Ranked play, Resurgence, and Fortune's Keep. Battle Royale and Yurzikstan will be solos, duos, trios, and quads. Resurgence and Fortune's Keep, solos, duos, trios, and quads. Plunder and Yurzikstan quads. So no Ashika, no Vandal, week of 15th to the 21st. Fortune's Keep once again. Rank play, Battle Royale, same way. Resurgence, same exact way. But now they have Vandal in quads. And then they also have a lockdown for Vandal in quads. And for the general changes, they did some audio improvements. Season 2 will see a continued effort in improving threat-based in-game audio, with notable improvements including ascenders, parachutes, as well as enemy redeployment drones, and that does audible distance and volume increases, removing environmental sounds that could be misconstructed as parachutes, and reduce enemy parachute occlusion while firing a weapon. Players will now hear the intended voice when enemies are landing in their vicinity using a redeploy drone. They've adjusted some features, so they said health regen delayed. The speed at which you begin to heal after taking damage has been decreased to 6 seconds down from 7. Health regen per second has been increased up to 50 from 40, and that means you'll heal a little bit faster. And then the ground loot, weapon builds have been updated in the ground loot. Newer weapons have been added. Existing weapons have received improved builds. Removed several MW2 weapons and those that came defaulted to the burst fire. And then they have the danger zone tac map notification quality of life. And the icon has been added to the tac map to show the danger zone of an incoming precision airstrike. Players in this area are at a risk of being damaged. And then they dive into a little bit more detail, which I really won't talk about. These are pretty straightforward, but I'll have a screenshot of them if you want to see them. And then precision airstrike banner radius alongside the above. The distance at which players see the existing warning banner for precision airstrike on the HUD has had a range increase. And then the UAV HUD or quality of life change. Players will now see a small red outline around their minimap when they are under the influence of an enemy UAV in order to help better understand when they may be visible or even pushed by a team. And then they auto-equip durable mask. Players will now auto-equip the durable gas mask over the regular one by default. Players can still equip the regular gas mask over equipped durable one in the backpack. And redeploy drone ping. The location of the ping icon for redeploy drones has been moved to the bottom of the ascender to improve player navigation. The death location highlight, player's death skull icon appears upon redeployment and remains visible until the player has landed. When the player has landed, the death icon will stay for an extra 10 seconds if they have landed near it. And then they mentioned lootable grenade visibility. Loadout markers and smoke grenades are now easier to spot as ground loot, as they are now upright and slightly elevated from the ground. This will now match the behavior of a deployable buy station grenade when they are on the ground. Auto-equip stow to kill streaks. Players will now auto-equip the next available kill streak that is stowed in the backpack if a matching one is not found. Live ping fade. While players are aiming down sight, live enemy pings will now fade away. Stow equip perk packages. Another quality of life change. Players can now stow their equip perk pack. Battle Royale Yurzikstan buy station shuffle. Buy station locations across Yurzikstan have been updated to refresh the gameplay loop and combat scenarios. The number of available buy stations remains unchanged. For the Gulag loadouts, updated the weapon builds for all weapons in the Gulag. The item drops decreased the chance of a portable radar and suppression mine appears in the ground loop by 30%. The Champion's Quest progress will be reset at launch for Season 2. The fuse timer decreased to 10 seconds down from 15. Chopper health increased by 10%. And then they also changed the order of the elements you'll need. For Resurgence, the Gulag token has been removed from the Resurgence loot table, which makes sense. And then for Vandal, dynamic fog system will now only be present in 8% of games when it used to be 24. The loot density in the smaller or more dense POIs, the loot density has also decreased. These are all the Warzone weapon adjustments. We've reduced the recoil on all weapons while using them in tac stance. A number of improvements have been made to MW2 weapons as well. And they mentioned for ARs, they increased the movement speed while aiming down sight. Battle rifles increased the movement speed while ADSing and crouching. Same with the marksman rifles. And then for the LMGs, increase movement speed while aiming down sight, while crouch and while strafing. Sniper rifles increase movement speed while ADSing, crouch, and while strafing. And then for the ARs, the Ram 7, mid damage reduced to 24 down from 28, and the minimum damage reduced to 22 down from 25. For the MCW, they increased the ADS sight time to 265, increased the sprint to fire to 252. The Holger increased ADS sight time. And then for the TR-76 guys, headshot damage multiplier modifier reduced to 1.25. Upper torso damage modifier modifier increased to 1.15, and the same thing to the arm and hand damage modifier. For the battle rifles, the BAS-B maximum damage reduced to 30 down from 35, increased sprint to fire to 252 from 231, increased the ADS sight time from 270 up from 260, increased the hip fire spread minimum. So this gun got a nerf. The MTZ-762 semi-auto override has been removed, so now it does the same damage in semi-auto as it does in automatic. Sidewinder increased bullet velocity to 600, decreased the recoil and gun kick significantly. And the Jack Thunder LMG kit increased delay before accelerated rate of fire begins, decreased accelerated rate of fire decay rate, and increased the gun kick control and recoil control. For the SMGs, the HRM9 max damage reduced to 12.9 down from 16.5. That's a very big nerf. The WSP9 max damage range increased to 18 from 16.5. Near mid damage range increased from 26 to 22, decreased the ADS sight time 220 down from 240. The Broodmother 45 kit decreased ADS sight time to 241 and decreased the movement speed penalties by 50%. So the WSP9 definitely saw a nice buff. The shotguns, Lockwood 680 mid damage reduced to 30. Defender heavy long barrel increased sprint to fire time penalty to 30%. The Haymaker 12 gauge Dragon's Breath attachment max damage range decreased to 2.9 from 3.5, and the near mid damage has been decreased. The Riveter near mid damage range decreased, and for the 410 gauge Incendiary, max damage range decreased to 2.5 down from 3, and the near mid damage range decreased. The Bryson 890 mid damage range reduced. The KV Broadside decreased sprint to fire and ADS sight time. The Lockwood 312 gauge Dragon's Breath, so this only the attachment, max damage range decreased and the near mid damage range decreased. The MX Guardian 12 gauge Dragon's Breath attachment, maximum damage decreased and the near mid damage decreased. For the LMGs, the Polmia, only the Jack Annihilator kit was changed. Near mid damage set to 32, which is a new variable. Near mid damage range set to 38.1, and minimum damage reduced to 30 down from 34. The TAC Evolver max damage increased to 34 from 26, which is a big buff. Max damage range reduced to 30.5 down from 45. Near mid damage range 29, new variable. Near mid damage range 45 is new, and then minimum damage increased to 26 up from 20. For the TAC Eradicator, they increased the sprint to fire time, but then they said that twice and gave two different numbers, so I'm pretty sure the second one is for something else, maybe the aim down sight time. And then the 5.56 Icarus decreased the sprint to fire time, and the Raw MG decreased sprint to fire time, decreased the ADS sight time, and for the RPK decreased the ADS sight time to 380 down from 410. Marksman rifles, KVD Enforcer decreased headshot multiplier damage. MTZ Interceptor increased the sprint to fire time, increased the ADS sight time, and decreased the neck multiplier. MCW 6.8 pretty much decreased everything: the ADS time, the hip fire spread, minimum, maximum, and the bullet velocity. The LMS reduced intensity of ADS time. The crossbow neck damage multiplier and the lower limb damage multiplier. And for sniper rifles, the XRK Stalker now one shots to the head within its max damage range, and the maximum damage was increased to 50.8 meters. The longbow minimum damage reduced to 73 down from 75, decreased ADS sight time. The signal near medium damage range reduced. The SPX increased the ADS sight time. For the handguns, the Renetti, only the Ferocity kit was changed, reduced movement speed penalty by 50%. The WSP Stinger, max damage increased to 24 from 20, and near mid damage range increased to 22 up from 16. Minimum damage increased to 20 from 14. .50 GS max damage increased to 78. The Basilisk lower torso damage multiplier increased. And for the melee weapons, they decreased the melee lunge distance by 30% for all of the MW2 ones. And then the adjusted attachments, the Jack BFB got a nerf here as well. Decreased gun kick control benefit to 55 down from 60 only by 5. Decreased vertical recoil control benefit to 35 from 40. Increased ADS sight time penalty, sprint to fire penalty, and aim walking speed penalty, and added 18% bullet velocity penalty. And then for the perks, general adjustment, several perk descriptions have been updated. So the flex perk, revised audio levels while equipped. The irradiated will now reduce gas damage by 20% up from 10%, allowing players to replace armor plates while in the gas. Battle hardened will now share the resist icon for the killstreak owner when a player resists the Guardian. Quick Fix will now correctly begin regenerating health when the player inserts an armor plate. Shrouded, the deployed smoke grenade has a slightly randomized offset, so now is not deployed directly on top of the player. Couple of equipment changes. The Claymore, following a related bug fix, players can now expect following damage values from Claymores: close damage 170, far damage 100. For the C4's throw velocity increase, and the charge can now be thrown between 5 meters to 15 meters based on the type of throw. Breacher drone, close damage decreased to 175 down from 200. And for frag grenades, they did a buff: close damage increased to 275 275 mid damage increase and the far damage increase. The gas mask health reduced to 100 and the durable one reduced to 200 from 240. And they did a whole lot of different bug fixes, which I'll just screenshot so you can check that out. But this is everything you need to know in regards to the Season 2 patch notes. Don't forget to drop a like and subscribe. But it's been your boy Chidzo, and I'll see you guys again. Peace.